All right, just hit got it. All right. How do I'm used to a Mac, so sorry, that's okay. All right, at least the projector is now working. It wasn't working before, so we're good now. I'm happy that you guys came to this session because student retention is such an important topic for any institution. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how our institution used an analytic product. My name is Sherry Olsen. I'm the Vice Chancellor for the online division at Kaiser University. You might not be familiar with us, but we have 28 campuses throughout the state of Florida, Shanghai, Nicaragua. We offer associates through doctoral degrees. So what I'd like to do, and once you put this in your phones, I'm going to engage you because I don't like just standing up here without engaging my audience. So if everyone goes to menti.com and the code you're going to use is 74654977. And you can do that on your phone, your iPad, your laptop. And can you put that in the chat for the, and what's great about this, once you put this in, you can see my slides on your phone too. So if you can't see things up here, you'll be able to see it on your phone. I'll give a few minutes. This way I get to know who my audience is. I should have put other. Yeah, or more than one, because I know for myself, I still have about 6 hats. So that's what I should have done. How many hats do you wear? That's what I should have put on there. All right, it looks like I've got a good group here that I think will find this presentation interesting. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the learning objectives. So we're going to talk about what our solution to attrition was. The product we used was Analytics for Learn, and there's many out there. How we developed a data analytic dashboard, our early intervention approach, and how to use the analytic dashboard to effectively interpret data leading to student success, because you can have all the data you want in dashboards, but unless you know how to use it, it doesn't mean anything. And strategies for training our faculty advisors. Our faculty are our advisors, and I'll get into that and how we train them. And you'll gain insights from data using statistical tools and visualizations, because I want to show you what we have and how to identify students requiring intervention and support early on. So just real quick, since you're still in Menti, describe retention issues at your own institution. Oh, yes, yes. And there's a lot. I don't know any institution that doesn't. Okay, bad. There you go. 6% drop in enrollments. Yep. Mental health issues. I have to say that those are some of the, since COVID, before COVID, I felt like the students, it's more like a financial issues, but since COVID, I've seen a rise in mental health issues. Absolutely. Life gets in the way, economic problems, taking on too much. People think online students don't achieve as well. Community college with high DFW rates, financial issues, balancing work life with workload for the non-traditional learner. Absolutely. Misunderstanding of online learning expectations, unhomed learners. Interesting. Okay. So I'm just going to go over some of the problems in the industry. Is concerns over student retention in higher education has emerged as a significant challenge affecting the quality of education and, of course, institutional reputation. Despite numerous programs and strategies put in place to help students with success and engagement, a significant number of students continually leave prematurely. This impacts student success rates, completion rates, and the economic stability of the university. You guys shared some of this already. Attrition can be attributed to many factors, including financial hardship, lack of academic preparedness, lack of support, proper advising, personal issues, and mental health concerns. So I think we're kind of all on the same page here. These issues are compounded by not having an effective early warning system to identify at-risk students. So talk a little bit about our journey. So what is your current process in identifying at-risk students? DFW rates, okay. Yeah, it's menti.com, and then you put the code 74654977. Faculty referral to student support, me, so obviously that's from a faculty member. Track progress, teaching, reporting. We use an at-risk reporting weekly, that's fantastic. Grade reports for online students sent to academic advisors. Early warning initiated by faculty, not effective. Tracking if they miss classes, then have counselors reach out to students, but it's not really tracked across campus. Intrusive advising, that's interesting. And I'm going to go over appreciative advising, something we use, because that can happen because we have adult learners. And institutional risk engine, midterms, early alerts, these are great. So why do we want to go with an analytic product that was more predictive? Well, we had struggles with retention just like all of you. We wanted a novel approach to help at-risk students, and we wanted to foster a more engaging, successful environment for our students. So with multiple campuses, for example, our students can go to our face-to-face campus, but while they're at the face-to-face campus, they can take hybrid, fully online, or face-to-face courses. And what we're finding is if they're in an allied health program where they have to do clinicals, they want to do all their gen eds online, continue working, and then do their core on the campus. So not only do you keep track of your online students, but what are your face-to-face students and your hybrid students doing too? You have to mentor all of them. And so what we wanted was we wanted information from our SIS and our LMS, right? Because you log into the SIS, you see some stuff, then you log into your LMS, you see some other stuff, but how can you put all that together in one dashboard so that, because we're only a 4-week environment, our students take 4 classes a semester, but one at a time every 4 weeks. So if we don't have something like this, they fall through the cracks. So our rationale was better retention. So we identified our current challenges first. We felt we were unable to get clear insights into student engagement and progress. Advisors felt they were blindly advising students. And what I mean by that, when the advisors logged into SIS, all they could see was some notes from some faculty, maybe their GPA, maybe the class they're taking, but could they see historical data? Are they doing well in quantitative courses and not qualitative? No. So they would call a student and say, Sherry, how are you doing? Oh, I think I'm doing great. Okay, well, I'll call you in another couple weeks, you know? So that's not advising. Our deans and program directors were unable to track student academic progress by program. That's important too, especially we have 27 programmatic accreditations. Retention and advising was after the fact rather than an early intervention approach. So what we did was some of the groundwork, because that's important. You have to involve a lot of stakeholders. So we had a consultant with our LMS that helped us look at reports that were out of the box, but they didn't meet our needs. So we really had to work with somebody. We adjusted the analytic product we used to accommodate our own business needs. We had to work with our IT department to get data from the SIS into the data mining platform that we used. Provide wireframes and data locations and fields. We worked with our LMS analytic team to build our reports. And we reviewed reports with stakeholders because I knew what I wanted to see in as administrator on a report, but the deans had a whole nother thing they wanted to see. You know, so everybody had what they wanted to see. And we really spent a lot of time talking to our stakeholders and what did they want to see on reports and dashboards. So the process is determine your user groups, because we have administrators, you have your faculty, you have your advisors. Who are your groups that are going to be using this? Then get users created in the analytic dashboard based on their role. So advisors had one role of what they would see, administrators another role, and then for the chancellor's office, they could see all the campuses and all the modalities. And then continue with user data validation. Of course, you're going to make adjustments, almost like learning outcomes, right? You make adjustments, see how it works, and you just keep doing that, and you repeat this process. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the advisor dashboards, because again, our advisors are my full-time faculty. It's their other duty. And so I have over 400 online faculty, and they're assigned between 10 to 20 advisees at the most, because we want to make sure they don't have 100 that they're advising, because how can they build that rapport? So the advisor can see all the advisees in one place. So all, let's say 15 of their advisees, they log into their dashboard, they see all their advisees. They can see academic progress and sort by at-risk students. And we have 4 profiles that the faculty could look at. We have students with high grades and engaged. That's a good thing, but you still want to call them and tell them they're doing a good job. High grades, not engaged. Low grades and engaged, we see that a lot. They spent so much time in their courses, but they're failing their course. Well, why? And low grades and not engaged. And then there's a student at a glance where they can drill down to individual at-risk students. They can see the whole academic history of that student, all the classes they've taken in detail, and they can see the progress in their current course. So let's say it's after midterm, the student has a 50%. They can get to that student quickly and refer them to one of our help centers or one-on-one tutoring. And then submission detail, they can actually see, well, is it week 3 and the students only submitted 2 assignments? So all of this is so important. So this is, I hope you could see it okay, because I tried to make it so it would fit, but this is what one of our advisor dashboards look like. So you can see the advisor name. I blocked out the students, of course, but right away she can see all of her students. She can submit by academic, she can sort by academic year, semesters, term codes, or mods. And she can see the courses the students are in, the average learn grade, how many minutes they've spent, how many posts they've done, because that's all activity that leads to making sure that student's engaged. And so, and then there's some demographic information. They can see if any of the students are on SAP or probation issues. So right away, that advisor sees a lot about their students, even the at-risk categories. And this is another way, this one I really like, because the advisor can see the students, again, how they're doing in the course, but they also see the instructor that's teaching the class. So right away, the instructor can reach out, the advisor can reach out to the instructor and say, hey, my student's not doing so well. Can you tell me a little bit, give me some insight into this student? So now you've got the advisor working with the faculty of the course. So this is really, really great. They can see the course they're taking, and again, how they're doing in the particular course. Then they can drill down onto an at-risk student. So this student is on probation. And let me just show you the next one so you can see how that looks. So this is a student at the glance, and the students you can see the student's program, where they are, and then you can see all the classes that student has taken. So you can see that the student has not done well in some of the classes. Well, why? And we know that that student's going to have to be rescheduled if they fail the course. So now the advisor is getting a really good, beginning to get a good holistic feel for how that student's doing. And then the advisor can also run a transcript report on all the classes the students taken. So they can see not only when they took the class, they can see the course, again, the instructor of the course, their CUME GPA, where this student is on probation, their average learn grade, which is the grade that they got in their class, how many times they've accessed those courses, and then the average interaction with content, how many minutes they've spent. And you can see the students spend a good amount of time in their courses. So what's going on with this student? And the reason why I added forum posts, because they have to do at least 3 a week. And if they've only done 1, then that's kind of an issue too. So that's a kind of an early warning. And then this is the submission detail I was talking about. So they can see the course the student's taken, they can see all the assignments, and then you can see the assignments that weren't submitted. Well, is the student struggling with writing? Are they struggling with the core content? So that way, when the advisor calls the student, they can talk about why maybe where they can get help and how the advisor can assist. And then the advisor can run a high risk report on any student. They can see the current grade in the class, GPA again, course accesses. And if you look, there's all kinds of drop downs. So the student can look at students with below average grades, high risk access. They can sort it any which way that they want. And then on the summary detail tabs, they can see all the advisees and their GPA. They can choose a student with the low GPA, drill down to see the student's program. Advisor can contact faculty members. So this is just the last tab. So I'm not to say that the advisors use all of these tabs, but they use the ones that work best for them. So we have all these advisor dashboards, right? So now what? Are we just going to give our advisors, look in, call your at-risk students? No, we use something called appreciative advising. And so just another question for you is, do you have advisors at your institution? If so, who are your advisors and what are their roles? Yes. Yes, we did with a consultant from our LMS. So yeah, so we literally spent so much time building these. Yeah, so we absolutely. It's Blackboard, which is now Anthology. Yep. Okay, so faculty also have dedicated student service professionals, counselors, department heads, instructors. Okay, so it's sorted by college, staff advisors. Okay, these are great. Yep, and then our associate deans, yes, they also advise students. So again, deans usually wear a lot of hats. So I'll talk a little bit about appreciative advising, because for our population of adult learners, they own businesses, they're adults, they don't want to be talked to like they're just, right out of college, right out of high school. So the first thing we train them to do is disarm, right? Make a positive first impression with students, build rapport, create a safe, inviting space. So the student will start talking first. Don't just jump in and tell them they're not doing well. Ask generative, open-ended questions that help advisors learn about students' strengths, skills, and abilities. The students are going to want to talk about themselves. And then inquire about the students' hopes and dreams for their futures. Why did they go back to school when maybe they're a single parent, they're juggling 2 jobs, but they're going back to school, but what was their dream originally? So really getting to know that student. And then students and advisors co-create a plan for making students' dreams a reality. What is the plan for them to succeed and stay in school? A lot of times what I find, students don't know where to go for help. Even if it's a financial aid issue, they might think they shouldn't log in because they have a balance, but then financial aid could say, no, you're up for repack and you're going to be okay. So it's everybody involved with this. And then students deliver with their advisor in that planning phase on what the plan is to help them get back on track. And then don't settle. Students and their advisors set their own internal bars of expectations high. So the importance of student engagement and advising. Well, it helps social emotional well-being, right? Creates better academic performance, on-time graduation, and better retention. Increase in student satisfaction creates higher levels of motivation, and students feel a stronger connection with their university, and they might want to come back for another degree. So I'm going to talk a little bit real quick. I don't know how my time is, but this is the other piece that we use, our retention dashboards. And in our retention meetings, it's not just academic people that sit in those meetings. It's financial aid, the bursar, the registrar, associate deans, deans, because making a decision on a student, you have to look at all the factors that's affecting that student. So this is kind of what one of the our retention dashboards looks like. It's used by the deans, chairs, and program directors and advisors. What they do is they run a report by program and they choose an at-risk category and they drill down on the student information. So for example, if you look here, this is a student that's in the AA in accounting. And so you can look over and you can see the average GPA of the student, right? You see the average interactions, how many minutes, and then you see all those comments. What I did is everybody lives in our SIS to put comments. Well, the retention tracking comments, there's 3 activities. I bring those into this dashboard because what happens is advisors don't have time to look in the SIS to see what the comments are. I wanted the comments in here on one dashboard. And I'm sorry it doesn't show up well, but at the bottom, I put things on there like start date. When did they start? If they've been with us for 8 months and they're not doing well, why? And then when are they supposed to graduate? Is it 2 months before they're going to graduate and they just failed their class? Is the credits earned? That's important. Are they getting close to sapping out? Have they retaken a lot of courses? Days since they last logged into their course. And then people always ask me, well, why did you put AR balances on there? The reason why I did that was because I see it all the time. A student might have a high balance and maybe they're not being repacked on time. Maybe there's issues with their account. We want to know that so that way the deans can ask that department, hey, is this student going to be okay? And a lot of times they'll ignore financial aid and the bursar, right? But they will answer the phone for a dean or an advisor. So it's everybody kind of working together on what's going on with that student. And then of course, down at the bottom, they can see the course they're in. And this is a student engagement report. This is just another report that administrators can run. And again, they can, if you see everything's highlighted in green, I'm not in my live environment, but they can literally right click on any one of those numbers and even they can keep drilling. They can slice and dice the information however it meets their needs. And again, you could see like how many students are logging in, how many have not logged in, and you can do that by week. So this is another really good report. And again, you can pick where it says course college. So all of our campuses are on there. And what I did was I added our face-to-face campuses. So all they have to do is pick their campus and they see where their online students are. Because I don't know how many of you have campuses who what we call pop into online, but when they pop them into online, they forget about them, right? Because they're online, they're not there, they're not on the campus. So we've developed these to help our campuses track their online students too. And then this is another report. We have more than this, but I know I don't have a lot of time to show it all to you. But a faculty engagement report is also really important. And the reason why we have this, it's not an I gotcha for the faculty, but if you don't have engaged faculty, are you going to have engaged students? No, you're not. And so that's huge. We keep our class sizes small, about 1 to 18. And we expect a lot out of our faculty. They go through a month-long training program. They get a mentor for 4 months and they learn what the pedagogy is for us and our expectations. So some of the things on here is you can see, how the faculty are engaged weeks 1, 2, and so on. And then we look at, well, prior to the start of the term, the reason why I added that is, did all my faculty go in and prepare their course before the students could log in? Because that's so important. Making sure their videos are in there, their biographical sketches, all those things. So, and there's other ways to run these reports. But again, you can see some of the other tabs up there. And then we also have a report because our faculty have to give 2 live lectures a week that get recorded, even if students don't show up. So we have reports that we can make sure that the faculty are doing that. So, because I don't know about those of you, I think I have some deans in here. Can you log in to every single one of your faculty's classrooms and check it out and make sure it's being done? You can't, there's no way. So we developed some of these dashboards to help our deans to make sure that they get help that they need. Okay, So that's my presentation. Hope everyone enjoyed it. And is there any questions I could answer? Yes.
What kind of pushback have you had from faculty, like in terms of they feel like it's being invasive and you're in their business?
You mean for the engagement reports? You know, I've been at my institution, like I said, for 20 years. We really don't have faculty turnover. It's making them part of the process and why we're doing it. Because, I mean, if a faculty isn't doing their job, then that's something we have to know, because it's not fair to our students. It's all about the students, but here's the caveat. We treat our faculty like students. So if they need support, I'm open 7 days a week. So my staff works Tuesday to Saturday, Sunday to Thursday. And so I have instructional designers 7 days a week, deans 7 days a week. You know, it's making sure that faculty who are all over the world are part of your processes. So you're not going to tell them, well, we have these reports without involving them. And so, because I also have lead faculty that help some of the other faculty. So I really haven't gotten pushback. Where I've gotten pushback is when we found a faculty member who hasn't logged in for a week and done no live lecture. That's pushback, but you're not doing your job. So yeah, so really I wouldn't say it's training, and I do a lot of peer-to-peer with my faculty, which works so much better than having the deans do it. So we do a lot of that, very collaborative.
What is your position?
I'm the vice chancellor. So I'm one of the university's cabinet members. And so I run the online division. Yep. I've seen a lot of change over the years. When I first started, we were teeny tiny and they didn't know, they just called us those online people. So.
Like the people that put this together, were they hired to do that thing?
No. So it's, I did use a consultant with our LMS. I worked with our IT department and my director of instructional design. And then I had a group of faculty and deans that worked with me on these. So we did, you have to involve a lot of people in this, but I didn't really hire anyone outside of us because nobody understands our environment but us. So, but there were out of the box reports, they just didn't work for us, our needs. So, yep.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I have a question. Well, could you speak a little bit more about what the faculty could see?
Yes.
As some of these dashboards?
Right. The faculty can see dashboards of their students, much like the advisors do. And even though, like even within the LMS, there's retention dashboards, but this takes it a little further, where they can get that maybe they know that the student has now taken that course for the 3rd time. And so that helps the faculty member know, well, this student might need some extra tutoring. And we do. We have a lot of help centers online. We have a math help center. We have programmatic help centers, 2 writing centers. We use tutor.com because for that adult learner, they need help when they need it. And even we have a robust orientation for the students that are manned by my psychology faculty, only because they're more touchy-feely than my accounting faculty. No offense if that's your background, but they're fantastic. And so that's like an extra duty as a full-time. So what they do is even before the student starts, they get that student acclimated to they talk about time management. They have webinars and things that they do within there. And the student stays in that orientation for the first 2 months of their class. Yeah. Yeah. So I love my faculty, I have to say. They're fantastic. Yes.
The students that show in their activity that they have, low performance, but high engagement. Could you speak more on that?
Yes, that's the big factor, because if a student's spending thousands of minutes in their course, they're turning in their assignments, they're going to all the live lectures, they're interacting with the ancillary items that are embedded in the course, but they're still failing. That's why one of the main reasons I wanted this, because a lot of times students don't know they're not doing well. I don't know why that is, but they really don't. And they don't know the resources that are available to them. And having that faculty member who is an advisor calling them not just once a month, you know, they have to interact with their advisees at least once a week. And if someone's not doing well in that category, then they make sure that that faculty is also working with them. So that's that was one of the main reasons, because I just would see these poor students spending so much time in their courses. So mhm.
After having done this, do you think this whole process was worth it?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. We started this pre-COVID, right? Because I'm from Florida, and what do we have a lot of? We don't have snow, but we have hurricanes. And so even for our campuses, it doesn't matter. A hurricane could hit Jacksonville, it could hit Miami. So we had something similar to this where we already had some of these dashboards, but when COVID hit, we really dug in and worked on these reports. So for me, this year alone, my attrition is about it. I mean, it's about 5% lower than what I had budgeted. So that speaks volumes, because like anybody, we struggle for enrollments at time, but you know, making sure the students are staying in school and graduating, that's a key focus. So I have seen that in terms of, I mean, of course, revenue wise, when the students stay, they're happier. And so that has been a huge change for us. Absolutely. Any other questions I can answer? Well, my email is up there. So if any of you would want to learn more about what we've done, there's so much more I could have talked about, but I just wanted to give you a good overview. And really, you don't have to use the same product we use. There's so many out there. We use, it's a company called Pyramid. And so that's who we work with. But like I said, there's so many out there. And just start small. That's what we did. Start small, because you can overwhelm the people who are going to be looking at these dashboards, because it's a lot of data. But taking the time, being patient, training your stakeholders on how to use it, and then follow up, because we've spent a lot of time on these, and a lot of times you do something like this and it just falls by the wayside. And so this is, and another report we do is making sure the advisors are using it. So we get a report on who's using it and who's not. So, yep. All right. Well, thank you all. It was great being with you this morning.